Hey there, welcome to the Bronx Buzz. I am excited about tonight's show. I'm excited about every show, but tonight in particular because my longtime friend, Bronx friend, Howie Karpin, is going to talk baseball with us, and that's exciting for me. And then in our second segment, we've got a great Bronx artist who has a show going on at the Riverdale Ethical Culture Society. But right now, let's talk baseball with Howie Karpin, one of the joys of my life. Nice to see you, Howie. How are you today?
Oh, doing great. I love this time of year and getting to talk to you right here on the Bronx Buzz.
Uh,
Always awesome.
we wait so long for that baseball season. It's like it just doesn't start soon enough. But let's talk about the rules to start. I mentioned to you just before the show, Jeff Passan put out, sports writer Jeff Passan said that there were 50 games in 2023 so far, and they're a half hour shorter. The batting averages are 15 points higher. Were 70 stolen bases compared to 29 the year before, and there were 40 pitch clock violations, which is just less than one a game. How do you evaluate the way the new rules are playing out right now?
It's been fantastic.
You think it's been fantastic?
I think so. It's funny. I still love to look at the box scores in the newspaper. Look, I'm 68 years old, following the game since 1960, 61. And the first thing I looked for this year was time of the game. And so many are under 3 or 240, 2.5. It's great. The game does move now. I love the banning of the shift. To me, when a guy hits a line drive over the infield that's going to fall in front of the outfielder, you deserve a hit. And It was ridiculous after a while. They came in with all these theories and these formulas, but it was making the game dull and boring. The game can be slow in itself. That's the nature of the game.
Did
But
you?
you get into the slowness because of the drama that builds. Now there's pace to the game. There's more offensive weapons, more athleticism being demonstrated, especially in the field. You have to have range now in the infield again. Basically the shift covered for those kind of players. Now you need athletic players in the field. So I think it's been an overwhelming success.
I'm not a big fan of the pitch clock. My feeling of it is okay, I understand people want to shorten the game and everything else. Why not start with 20 seconds or 25 and then the year later make it 15 so that what we saw in one of the Mets games over the weekend, the Marlins pitcher was kind of running out of gas because late in the game he was getting a little too winded and he needed a moment to breathe. That's my feeling. I would rather have seen it gradually implemented. I'm not against having shorter games.
Very fair comment, but I thought it would be a little chaotic in the beginning. You had a missed interpretation of the rule over the weekend in the Met game.
Yes,
And they admitted it was a mistake. So these things are going to happen, but they'll adjust. What you fail to realize with the pitch clock, it's not so much for the pitcher. The batter now stays in the box. He doesn't take a guided tour home plate area every pitch. He's staying in. It's a little quick for some of these guys who are not used to it. Even fans are kind of complaining that it's too fast.
I'm one of those. I like to sit and relax.
It's a much better product on the field right now. You can sit and relax during the game, no question.
What are players saying about it? Now you around the locker room sometimes. Are they griping or they're just saying, "Look, it's the rule, and we just got to do it"?
There's very few gripers, so to speak. Maybe Max Scherzer, and I don't know why. He has his stance, but overwhelmingly the players approve. It's going to make you sharper as a player because you're going to have to adapt to the quickness. I think that you'll see the product improve even as the season goes on. Right now, it'll be a little chaotic. You knew that was going to happen. People have to adjust.
And listen, I don't want to spend more time on it because we have a lot to do, and you have a new book that we want to talk about as well. But I thought for the shift rule, if players would just learn to hit, if Rod Carew came back, if they'd all hit a little bit like Jeff McNeil, then you wouldn't need the shift rule. But I guess the way the game is now, it's not happening.
Oh, there was a philosophical difference with hitting to the opposite field, wasting your power
Right,
hitter, trying to hit to
right.
the opposite field for a single. It's interesting now. You can still, I'll say this quickly, you can still shift. You can move that left fielder into short right field, but
That's
it's
true.
more of a penalty now because if the ball goes over the infield, there's no outfielder there to keep it to a
Yeah, right.
single. That's going to be a triple.
Um,
So
Howie, I thought it was poetry in motion when Judge hit a home run on his first at bat. I thought that was just as great a moment as you could see at Yankee Stadium. They're 2-1 as we're recording this on Monday. Of course, there'll be games before the show airs. What's your evaluation? Are they set up pretty well? They've had pitching injuries. What's your evaluation of the Yankees right now?
I think they'll be okay. I think, you can't expect them to jump out 61-23 like they did last year. And that proved to be a fluke because
That's
they were
right.
38
That
and
is true.
40. They were a 500 team when they entered the playoffs. They
That's right.
weren't that great. And Houston, took advantage and put them in the dust because they were much better. So I think they'll be all right. I think they'll win the division. I think, or they'll be right there. They'll be in the playoffs. Judge is turning into just a remarkable player. I mean, if he stays healthy, who knows?
The
Who
sky
knows
the
what he
sky
could
is the
do?
limit.
Right.
I was negligent at the beginning. I just assumed because we've been doing this for so long together. Howie Karpin is one of the official scorers of Major League Baseball, and he is an update anchor on Sirius. But as you can see, he's the guy I turn to for info on what's going on in the game. So just what do the Yankees need at this point? Or at this point, play it out, and by the middle of the season, we'll know?
Well, they're not going to get much offense from the catcher position. So it's going to be up to the rest of the lineup. I think a healthy DJ LeMahieu will be a big difference. I'm glad they're starting this kid Oswaldo Cabrera in left field over Hicks. He gives them more energy, more athleticism. He's a switch hitter. You hope he can pick up the left side. You want to get Bader back in center field. Bader, who likes to go to the Riverdale Deli here, Liebman's.
Yes, he
It's a
does.
local kid. He's a terrific defender, and
Terrific player, and he has great skills.
another energy guy they can use. They have more energy in their lineup, especially with Volpe.
I was going to say, and they did the right thing, putting the kid at shortstop. Just let him play; he's going to be fine. That's the
Right.
way I look at it. Listen, I'm wearing my Mets tie today. I don't know if you can see that. And what do you think about the Mets? Mets had a nice start. They beat a team that they're much better than. The Verlander thing was shocking to say the least. How do you evaluate where they're at?
They're better than Miami always, but
Well,
Miami always stings them. So this is a very good 3 out of 4 to start the season.
mhm.
Look, the Edwin Diaz loss is big, but here's my saying. Closers save games. They don't win games. You can find a closer. Maybe you're not going to find as dominant as he was last year. And baseball, there's no guarantee he was going to come back and do it again. 3 years ago, everyone wanted him off the Mets because he
Yeah,
was so
that's right.
bad. Now relievers, sometimes closers are a dime a dozen. The Giants, when they won their 3 championships in the 2010s, they had 3 different closers.
That's right.
Sometimes
That's
you switch even in midstream.
I,
Just reverting back to the Yankees quickly, Clay Holmes is their closer. He won't be by the end of the year. I have a feeling Michael King will be their closer. So there's an example. You can cover for that.
Yeah, listen, we both been around a long time. David Robertson's a top-notch major league pitcher, and obviously Buck knows how to maneuver his staff beautifully. Listen, I wanted to here's some of the books that Howie has written, and I've got them here. Let's see. There was Yankees Essential. That was your first, you said.
Yeah, that was 16 years
Okay.
ago.
Then this one you said is going to be reissued. The down about Kindness Corner,
It's been re-released at a much
re-released.
cheaper price.
Okay, and this one I love, the Mets' perfect
That
season,
was
the
fun. That was a
162.
lot of fun.
Uh,
It's funny you showed that one because I did one of the last interviews with Seaver for that book.
wow,
At least that, from what I can recollect. I thanked Ethan Wilson. Ethan Wilson of the Mets set me up for a phoner with him, and
wow.
boy, I mean, what a
Uh,
thrill!
that I'm sure it was. So hold up, you got the book there. You got a new book.
Yep.
Let's see, what is it? And we could put it up. I know Anderson's got a picture of it. The New York Yankee Firsts. Now there was a Mets Firsts, and the
Yeah, but
Mets Firsts was players talking about their first. What is this
right.
book?
This is a quiz book,
A quiz book.
sort of like the one I did which was called "So You Think You're a New York Yankees Fan." I did that
Right.
about 5 years ago, and I didn't think it was going to be that great, but it happened. I got 195 reviews on Amazon over that
Wow.
book, and it's still selling. So this one's almost like a follow-up, except it's firsts in Yankee history. And the answer, I give you a little background and some interesting notes about the answer. So, I had to stretch a little. Like here's an example of a
I
question.
was going to ask you to ask me a question and put me on the spot. Not
All
that I'm
right.
going to get any of this, but go ahead.
What year was the first Mickey Mantle Day?
First Mickey Mantle Day.
Yeah, there were two of them.
I would think it would have had to have been at the end of his career. So, like, I don't know, 1966 or something. Am I
65.
65? So I had the right
So I
idea.
went into in that part of the book. I talk about the two Mickey Mantle days. A lot of people don't remember the first one. He was still in uniform in that
Yeah.
one. And they had banners like a Met banner day. They had people walking on the track, and he's
Wow.
looking at the banners, and he was in the dugout watching everything. Yeah.
Wow.
So
And then
that's one of the questions.
when was the second Mickey Mantle Day?
69, June 8th.
June 8th, 69. Now, he was a commentator for the 1969 World Series, I recall. So he
Yeah,
was no
he
longer
was
in
in the
uniform.
studio.
Was he still in uniform in 69?
No, he
No.
retired in March of 69.
And for you writing the book, these are it's a joy, right? You do your research and you put it together.
Oh yeah, I love it. I mean,
And so this is your 12th book, you had said.
right. I'm
Wow.
at 7 baseball and 5 hockey. I've been on, I'm an historian. I like history. I love this. It keeps me in touch with my childhood still, looking back, and the memory. You have all those memories, I'm sure.
Sure. I just remember you telling me that you had a catch on the field with Willie Randolph. That still is one of the highlights in my mind. I said, wow, Howie got to do that. Before we run, we do got to run. Greatest game you ever scored? Most amazing game you ever scored?
Well, I did a no-hitter last year against. I've done 2 no-hitters. Probably the most memorable is Game 4 of the 01 World Series when Tino Martinez tied it up. I mean,
I remember that.
The building was literally shaking.
I was,
really was.
at that moment, I was working at that time. Just tell old stories. I was working for Channel 4, and I was sitting in the truck watching it on TV outside the stadium. Anyway, Howie Karpin, let's enjoy baseball. I wish I had a champagne. Let's pop the champagne and enjoy the game. Do the right job. We want to know hit or error or pass ball or wild pitch. We want you to get it right every time.
We'll try. I've been fooling them for 25. This is my 25th year. So
so let's everybody look for the New York Yankees First. That's
right. Lions Press.
Lions Press. All right. Listen, the great Howie Karpin, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take a short break. We're going to switch gears and we're going to talk to a great Bronx artist. So don't go away.